Welcome to Blonde Cards and Crafts. Let's make something together. Hello crafters and welcome to my channel. Today we're going to make a card using the Love from Lizi July 2023 card kit, and it's called Peach Blossom. I'll leave a link down below. If you haven't seen what comes in the kit, you might be interested to watch that first. Normally when I do a Love from Lizi video, I make 10 cards using the kit and put it onto one video. But before I did a video where I actually made 10 videos, a video for each of the cards. So I thought I would do that this time around. It's a beautiful kit and I think it deserves a video for each card. So some of them will be a little bit long and some of them will be quite short, but I hope you'll enjoy all 10. So I'm going to first of all start with the stamps and dies that we get in this kit. Now when we get them, they're on this packaging in a plastic sleeve, and this is what I do with mine. I stick them down onto 300 GSM cardstock. I add some magnetic sheet for the dies. You can see that here. I've actually got a longer magnetic sheet on the backer sheet that Lizi gives us, but these will be the stamps and dies I'm using throughout my videos. And I'll also be using some stamps from my stash for inside the cards. So let's go ahead and make our card. As I said, this is card 1 and it's going to be an oval shaped card. And I'm using these ovals. They're new on the Love from Lizi website. Now we do get 15 dies and you can see I have some on the back here and some on the front. I could have put them all together, but Lizi has packed in so many, it's kind of hard getting them out. So I put every other one on the back side of my little sheet here. So I have used the largest die to die cut out 2 white ovals. And I've also used the largest die and this die here. So this is the third one in to cut out this piece. And this is going to be a shaker card, so I wanted a frame. So when I put the 2 dies together, this is what it cut out. I've taken the centerpiece away and that'll give me a frame for my shaker card. Now you can see here I've some acetate on that. I used the next size down, so it would be the middle die that I have on the back here. I used that die to die cut out my acetate, and we got the acetate in the kit, and I stuck that to the back of my frame using some double-sided red liner tape. Onto that then I added some foam tape, and I have these thin strips of foam tape that I got on Amazon about 2 years ago. And what I did was I took off 4 strips and then stuck another 4 onto the back of them, so they stuck together like so, and that gave me a doubled up width of foam tape, which is what I have here. Now Lizi put in some foam tape into our kit. This is the foam tape and I have been using it, but it's just too wide for my little frame. Now what you can do is take off a piece like this, as long or as short as you want, and then if you double it over on itself like so and then press down like so, you can then take a scissors. Let me grab mine. You can cut it off, and remember this can be as long or as short as you want, and then what you can do is you can go along and cut into it, and because you've doubled it over like this, you can cut it as thick or as thin as you want. And because the backing paper is still on both sides, it doesn't get your scissors all muckied up from doing it that way. So you could do this if you wanted with that roll of foam tape that we got from Lizi, but I just thought I'd use what I have in my stash and keep this for other projects. So you can see there, this one then will it ends up much thicker. You can see here it is a little bit thicker, than the foam I've used, but that would work perfectly now for your shaker card if you're making a shaker card and using the foam that came in the kit. So I hope that's a useful little tip for you. Okay, so now the die that we use, the second die in, this die that we used to cut our acetate, I also use that to cut this. A piece of pattern paper. So our pattern paper is 6 by 6 and this is die cut out from it. So that's going to be the piece behind our lovely frame, like so. And then I have taken from the ephemera that we got this piece. Now this didn't have anything stamped on it, but what I did was I took one of the sentiments that came on the stamp set. You can see it there, best wishes, and I stamped that in using some black VersaFine Clair Nocturne ink. So I have my sentiment ready. I also have one of the ephemera pieces and one of the lovely little mason jars. I'm going to stick this onto the frame and then I'm going to put some foam tape behind these and raise it up a little bit. I'll put my best wishes on here, and then I have two little hearts. One is going to go on the front of our shaker card. The other one will go inside our card. So let's have a look at how we're going to actually make our card. So I have my two ovals here. And what I've done is I've lined them up together. I actually put this one on the bottom and this on top. So once you see, you could pop them on there and find out that they're off. So make sure you put your two ovals together and that they're nicely lined up. And when they're lined up like that, pop them into your scoreboard. Now make sure that it's not kind of twisted like that or twisted like that, because you want to make sure you put a score line on these so that they're straight. So you can see here, I have put a score line up here at 1/2 inch, and then I've put another little score line here, it's at the it's just more than 5 1/4. It's at 5 3/8 of a score line. If we don't put that score line on there and cut this piece off, then it'll mean that our card is going to rock, and I don't want it to do that. So I want it to sit flat. You can see the tiny little bit I've cut off. I want it to sit flat when it's sitting on the shelf. This 1/2 inch score line, we're going to fold that because this will allow us to pop that on here. We'll glue our tab down, and that then will give us our card base. And because we'll have the little cut off piece at the bottom there, it means that our card will sit on that and it won't rock, because otherwise it could just rock and fall over. So on the front of that then, we'll have our shaker piece. Now when I do a shaker card, I find if I'm not putting a background, I'll put my bits on top and then I'll sit that over it. But because I'm putting some background paper on there, what I can do is I can pop my sequins in here and then stick down this piece onto the top, and then that whole thing will go on the card front. So that's all the pieces we need. Our score lines are done. We've done our bit of cutting for our base. It's a matter of assembling it now. So let's go ahead and do that together. So because we're making a shaker card, this would be a good time to stamp your sentiment. And I have a happy birthday sentiment that I'm going to stamp inside. And that looks perfect. I'm not even going to stamp it up a second time. I don't think it needs it at all. So I'm delighted with that. And then I'll have my little heart that I can pop inside. And I think actually I'll use the smaller one and put it just under there, and I'll use the bigger one then on the front. I think that that will be lovely. So I'm going to add a little bit of glue. I'm giving that time to dry, because the VersaFine inks, they take a little bit longer to dry, but I find they print or they stamp really crisply. So now we have our little heart in the middle there. Okay, so I'm going to tidy up here now and we'll assemble the card next. So now we're going to pop our front of our card base onto the back of our card base. You can use whichever glue you like, a liquid glue or double-sided tape. And my preference is the liquid glue, and I'm using the Cosmic Shimmer here. It's a quick grab glue. So it's just a matter now of lining up. So I'm going to pull the back of this away while I line up my card, because I want to make sure that's all properly lined up. So while I'm lining up my ovals and I'm happy with that, then I can press the back up there and attach that. And then once the glue has dried on that, we'll have our happy birthday. Now I'm using 300 GSM. If you felt that this back was a little bit flimsy, you could always die cut out another white oval and you could add that onto the back of it, and it would just add strength. So I could pop another one over there. I would need to score that again, so that, you know, I'd need to score this one also so that it would open up. But it's just if you find the layers, you know, are a little bit light. But there you go, look, it'll sit perfectly there because we've cut the bit off on the back. And once we add our layers to the front as well, it'll add on to that. So the next thing I want to do now is work on the shaker part. And I'm going to use the sequins that came in the kit. And this is a little sample bag of sequins that we get, that Lizi popped into our kit. And you can get a large full bag of this from the website if you like to make shaker cards. Now I'm not going to use it all, but it's a little bit light in shaker bits. There's not a whole lot, but I think once that's set down like that, and then I have my little thing there, I think it'll be lovely to see all them. If you have some shaker bits in your stash, you can always add them into it. So I cleaned my acetate now before I started, and then I used my anti-static bag inside as well to take any of the sticky residue just off the sides of my foam tape. So hopefully they won't stick to that too much. Now the next thing we want to do is add the back on. So I'm going to take off the release paper and I'm going to stick that down. I'm going to add just a little bit of liquid glue along the top here, and that's just to give me a little bit of wiggle room when I put my pattern paper down on top of it. And now we can add this to our card base, and it's just a matter of sitting that on over nice and evenly. So again, I need to line up my ovals, add a bit of pressure down onto that, and the collal glue takes a little bit longer to dry, but that's okay. Now, and our sequins move lovely. It's just a matter now of adding on our mason jar and our flowers. So I'm going to glue this down, and you can, because we have acetate, it's always good to use a double-sided tape when you're attaching that into place. So I'm going to add a little bit of double-sided tape to the back of my mason jar. Use some foam to stick down our flowers. So I'm going to have it set like so. And remember, when you're putting it in your envelope, if you have the flowers over too much, it won't fit in. So be aware of where you're putting, you know, your floral piece. So I'm just deciding where I like that. I think I liked it like this. So yeah, that will sit down there like so. And I think I'll just add a little bit of liquid glue there. I'll add that down there, a bit of pressure. And now I can put some foam behind my flowers, and I'll use the Love from Lizi foam that came in our kit, and I'll just add a couple of squares, a couple of pieces of this dotted around. And there we go. There is card one using the beautiful July kit from Love from Lizi called Peach Blossom. Isn't that a lovely shaker card? And the shaker bits move really freely. I just love that. And it stands up beautifully. And we have our sentiment inside with another little heart in there. So that is card one. If you enjoyed my video, please give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe and ding that bell so you'll be notified when I post my next card. And that will be coming to you really soon. If you're on Facebook or social media, you can find me there, Blonde Cards and Crafts, and you can also share your makes on Lizzie's Facebook group as well as my Facebook group called Your Cards and Crafts. So that's it. I'm going to leave it there. Thanks for watching and see you again really soon. Bye for now. Bye-bye.